is where that's where a lot of the fun starts, like I said in the pregame. So first things first, though, again, joined by Ziori. Once again, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. Excited to see some Clan Milk action today. I've got a couple of ringers, but it's always a pleasure to see some Clan Milk action.
Yeah, really, really excited for that indeed. Of course, Clan Milk, and as you may actually notice, their roster isn't necessarily what we're used to seeing here when it comes down to seeing Clan Milk lately. I do know Milk Fat is saying that they're going through some changes as far as rosters and whatnot. So they're trying some new things out, and we'll definitely see how this kind of new roster works for them. Now, I will say these are players that have definitely played with one another when it comes down to it. So it's not like it's completely new. It's again they're kind of just doing some reworking. And they're taking on C1K, a team that we have casted before, but don't know too much about on top of that.
Yeah, their name definitely looks familiar. Call It Karma, I guess, is their official name. And, I can't really recall a hell of a lot about them either. Sad as that may be, but I think we covered them once or twice in the Dream Hunt event, but drawing a little bit of a blank here, Breaky.
All right, sorry about that. Actually, I have to take care of something real quickly, but yeah. All right, so the picks obviously are finishing up here, so we got to really jump into this. Let's start with the band. So we are looking at Magebane, Ophelia, Tempest, Parasite, Pebbles, Tundra, Magnus, and Moraxis. So looking at these bands right here, obviously can't say I'm too surprised by really any of them. Keeper the Forest, the only jungle left open. Of course, he was picked up by C1K right there. Yeah, not too much else to say, unless Pebbles, I guess, is actually something to bring up. Unfortunately, I had to erase my ban, so I don't know who banned him. I don't know if you still have it on your board.
Let's see. Let me scroll up. There's so much chatter going on and / buddy chat. It was on Milk Fat, so Clan Milk did ban Pebbles kind of close to the end of the banning phase. But no, you're right. I mean, really not a hell of a lot jumping out at me. The interesting one in my mind right now is Demented Shaman. Of course, he got a pretty big nerf with that community contribution patch. And we see him not banned, and it really doesn't look like he's going to be picked up here. One pick left for Clan Milk, and I'd be surprised if they went with a Demented Shaman grab here. So a little bit, I guess I'd say a little bit disappointed to see Demented Shaman not getting so much love these days.
Yeah, again, that's actually a very good point to bring up. Obviously, we were going to be covering the It's Goes To event yesterday, but we had a lot of exploit problems, like a lot of people apparently. So unfortunately, honcast wasn't able to cover it, but I know you guys still did. And
I guess we got lucky. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you were like, "You have any problems?" I'm like, "I don't think so. Looks good."
Yeah.
We had no issues, but that is unfortunate.
Yeah, it was, it sucked, but the point I was getting at, I mean, you're right. I mean, a lot of changes happened in this community balance patch, and did you happen to notice that yesterday with all these changes?
Yeah, there was not much Demented Shaman played all yesterday. I think we saw one game, and I mean, it's not like Demented Shaman didn't carry the team, but it definitely there's a noticeable difference in that Unbreakable cooldown, especially at level 1. You're forced to either level it up all the way or just say, all right, well, we're only getting one in these early team fights, guys, so be ready. Definitely was a noticeable change, and it's had a huge impact on the picking frequency of that hero for sure.
Yeah. And again, I'm scrolling through here. I unfortunately haven't had too much time to kind of go through and look at every single change in depth, which, by the way, obviously we will definitely have Doc Kaiser on. You can guarantee that to kind of go over this on our next podcast perhaps, but there's a lot of changes, and but let's talk about the picks right here, then we can perhaps kind of tie it in with that. So we'll start with C1K over here on the Legion side, of course. So for C1K, we are dealing with Cthulhuphon, Plague Rider, Keeper of the Forest, Deadwood, and Chipper coming to the table. So definitely some fun picks over here, going with the double tree strategy, of course, the Keeper and Deadwood. So always fun seeing something like that, but the Chipper pickup, that's kind of out of left field there. So I like this lineup, Zuri.
It's interesting that they mix in the Chipper. There was a thread on the forums not so long ago talking about Chipper and why isn't used. I think Mega Beaver might have been the one to start it. And it was sort of an interesting thread, but a lot of people, there was some good arguments back and forth, but the general consensus seemed to be that, yeah, he can do a lot of burst damage, but everything else considered, Chipper really doesn't bring too much else to the table. He does a lot of burst damage, and can snipe people out with the rockets, which is really cool, but he doesn't really have a great escape mechanism. He gets locked down pretty easily, and he doesn't really bring out too much notable crowd control. He does have that one slow from Tartos, but not so reliable and really not so effective as a slow anyhow. So interesting nonetheless. We'll see. He certainly can do a lot of burst damage, though. That is one thing Chipper does very well.
Exactly. That's what I was going to bring up there, too. I mean, the burst damage potential, once he gets the 3 rockets, I mean, it can be pretty damn insane. If he he is a very aggressive intellect solid ganker, similar to a Wretched Hack, similar to a Bubbles. The obvious disadvantage that he has compared to those two is that he doesn't have the porting ability. He has to walk around, unlike those two that can definitely fly around. But with that said, portal key on a Chipper isn't something to scoff at, something perhaps we could see here from Archons playing the Chipper. But yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how this lineup works. I mean, they got a mix of good burst potential, obviously with Deadwood and Chipper, and then more relaxed, with your Plague Rider and Cthulhu Fun, then Keeper of the Forest, of course, there for possible push potential. So, Hellborn team, let's go over Clan Milk now and see what we're dealing with. So we are looking at Torturer, Bubbles, Glacius, Forsaken Archer, and Blacksmith. So Clan Milk here rolling the freaking dice. Going with the Lucky Charms Blacksmith here. I love seeing that. Yeah, looking forward to seeing good old Blacksmith being played by Mookies here as he's paired up with Torturer, actually. So kind of an odd lane in itself, but I've always considered Blacksmith an underrated hero, so I'm actually excited to see him here.
Yeah, I mean, we can see him doing a lot of damage to Cthulhu up here. Of course, doesn't have that trample with the level 1 hook him, and he could be in really big trouble. Blacksmith's going to have his stun in just a couple of seconds. Torture as well. And we saw Bloodlust there. Breaky Milkfat actually going to be the one to pick up the bonus Bloodlust gold on that Torturer. So, at least to start things off, Blacksmith proving to be worth his weight in gold.
Yes, he is. He seems going to stun right there on a Plague Rider, but no follow-up. But again, he no doubt is. I mean, the early pressure from him, obviously having those mana potions so he can regen with that Fireball, but 100 magic damage, right off the bat, single target stun for it's 1.5 seconds, right? Yeah, 1.5 seconds. I mean, that's a good chunk of burst damage, but again, a hero like Blacksmith, while I personally find him really underrated, I guess not necessarily underrated, but it's unfortunate because that Frenzy ability, man, that third ability of his can be so powerful in that later game stage especially. For multi-purpose, not only for movement, but of course for attack speed purposes, especially with a hero like Forsaken Archer, and for casting speed. A lot of people forget that it actually increases your casting speed as well. So yeah, just such an all-around powerful ability, and again, we'll see if that comes to that point where maybe we'll start seeing the Frenzy being used here by the Blacksmith.
Yeah, and I mean, don't forget, Blacksmith did receive some small buffs. The Fireball does slightly more damage in the early levels, so as we can see here, level 1 and 2 certainly doing some work, and Flaming Hammer now has a constant AoE of 100 that goes up with Chaotic Flames, so that level 1 of Flaming Hammer is a little bit more powerful now than it used to be. Relatively small changes, but still, I mean, maybe that's all it takes, as you said, sort of an underrated hero in general. Maybe those small buffs will be enough to bring some more Blacksmith action onto the scene. So we'll see. At least he's off to a good start in this match.
Yeah, and again, that's definitely a great thing about having a bigger balance patch like this. You said a negative side, of course, with Demented Shaman with that Unbreakable Nerf that he got, but then you got a hero like Blacksmith, who perhaps some smaller changes, but still some buffs nonetheless, and, perhaps that's why Clan Milk is using him here, because they saw those buffs and like, let's go ahead and try him now, see how he works out. Meanwhile, in the middle, like, Deadwood's going to be taken out. Not sure what Deadwood was thinking right there. Ubro going up against Cookies. And he kind of just walked right up to him with about a little less than half life right there. Bubbles like, all right, I'll just song on the Sea Nuke, Shell Surf, and you'll be dead. So, yeah, Deadwood getting a little bit overconfident right there. Meanwhile, at the top lane, actually, Cthulhu going to charge on a Torturer, but not much going to happen there. And that's going to prove to be the wrong decision, actually. Chain reactions hit. And the Congo taunt coming down on top of it. So far, Clan Milk a huge lead when it comes down to early on. Well, not a huge lead, but an early on lead. And you even see a double tap going to come out right there as they actually chase down Plague Riders. So, not the best decisions being made here by our Legion team.
Yeah, well, definitely right, but still, Blacksmith Torture, you can see the synergy pretty clearly. Not that it's a difficult thing to point out, but the Singleton stun from Blacksmith sets up for Torture's chain reaction so easily. And then that minus magic armor from the Flaming Hammer just makes Torture hit so freaking hard. I mean, look at this right here. That's without Flaming Hammer. And, I mean, Cthulhu just getting back to the lane, and he's going to be forced back already. He doesn't have any regen, and he's going to have to head back to the well unless his good buddy brings him a potion here. But looks like sharing is caring, and Plague Rider is going to give him a potion. But still, that's really, really rough. Definitely good news for Clan Milk, though. I mean, seeing a Torturer sitting already slightly below 400 GPM only 4 minutes in is definitely good news.
Yeah, and then you got the bottom lane. We really haven't addressed that too much yet, but obviously Chipper excited to see him. not going all too well for him. Now, he is obviously in a 1 versus 2, a very dangerous 1 versus 2, mind you, so he is actually doing a pretty good job, it seems like, of at least playing passive and staying alive and at least getting some levels. He is at least tied with Forsaken Archer when it comes to being level 4, and he happens to have 14 creep kills. I did notice that he was using his rockets quite a bit to actually help him with some last hitting, so honestly, he actually isn't doing too bad, but again, just because of the circumstances, he's not doing too great either. And Forsaken Archer, on the other hand, 238 gold per minute right now, looking very solid herself. So.
Yeah, definitely right about Chipper. And given that he's really not the best sort of suicide 2v1 hero, I think he's doing a pretty good job. He hasn't conceded a kill yet. He's been able to pick up some farm, as you mentioned, sitting around 200 GPM. That's definitely not too bad. I feel like this Glacius Forsaken Archer combo really isn't playing too aggressive. Cake seems pretty satisfied to sit back and just pick up some last hits.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's farming reasonably well. Up in the top lane, though, you see Milkbat picking up his 4th kill of the game. The Kongor taunt coming out again as Plague Rider just continues to get picked on. Looks like they're going to dive onto Cthulhuphon a little bit here. Not even much of a dive. They're able to just take him out. And this top lane is just a complete and utter disaster for C1K. I mean, even Blacksmith up above 200 GPM, above that of Forsaken Archer. That is, wow, scary.
Yeah, it's for C1K, again, that thing's not looking all too great for them right now. Chipper, in fact, in the caught by a crippling volley right here. Should be fine in the end, but again, just a lot of pressure being applied to him. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Deadwood's going to be taken out right there. The level 7 Bubbles now coming in. He got caught in the root, though. Oh, the last tower attack, taking him down to maybe under 50 life. But somehow managing to stay alive using the bottle charges shortly after. So right now we're looking at a 7-0 hero kill advantage in favor of Clan Milk. 2,500 gold lead, 1,500 experience lead. We're only 6 minutes into this game right now. Yeah,
look
not
at
the
Keeper
greatest
right
news.
here.
Yeah, he's actually being pressured by Bubbles quite a bit. Oh, wow, yeah.
Wow, I thought Bubbles was going to be able to fit. I think Bubbles was sitting there just like, all right, there's got to be a trick up your sleeve. I'm not going to waste my mana on you. I mean, he probably could have killed him if he had that Shell Surf Song of the Sea combo ready to go. I'm not sure if he had enough. It looks like he had enough mana. I don't know. I guess Bubbles wasn't quite eager to man up right there, but still, it's probably just one of those like, there's no way that there isn't a trap here. I'm not that silly keeper. I'm not going to fall for it. One of those kind of situations. Again, in the top lane, Plague Rider going to get caught. Only level 3 Plague Rider, not a hell of a lot he could deal. Milkbat going to be the one to pick up that kill. I actually see a port coming in from Chipper to try and support this top lane, though I don't think Archons is going to be able to set anything up. Although a noble effort to come to the top lane didn't quite get there in time. And not much that level 3 Plague Rider can do. In the mid lane as well, now Glacius trying to set something up. Keeper of the Forest going to come in. He is going to drop that root. Will be enough to keep Deadwood alive for now. And they actually turn it around onto Glacius. So well played there by C1K. Though up in the top lane, still continuing to struggle as they pick up another kill on
Jeez, yeah, look at Torture's farm right now. 460 gold per minute. And sure, he's getting some okay creep farm, but it's 6-0-1 hero kill stats. I think that's the big reason why he's having so much gold farm. So, yeah, that's all around just not looking too good here for C1K. Again, this being the Cooler Master Tournament, $5,000 on the line. We are in the round of 32. There's, I believe, 64 teams that actually ended up signing up in total. So, obviously, a good amount of teams there. But again, it is still fairly earlier on in the event. So, you know, again, we chose the match kind of at random. We saw, I did know that we covered C1K recently. I believe it was in the Raptor Gaming Amateur Tournament, actually. So, just looking forward to seeing, you know, what they were going to bring to the table. But again, unfortunately here, it's against this Clan Milk roster, not doing all too well. And this Clan Milk roster, by the way, on top of that, I mean, they are looking very solid. Again, we talked about the two. It's kind of a newer roster. I believe Moravis actually did end up leaving the team, from my understanding, and that's why he's not playing with them here. So that's kind of a big thing to keep in mind. 'Cause through the fight, yeah, he is going to die right there. I was waiting for it. Plague I thought was going to deny it, but not in time. And then you see Bubbles taking out, actually that was Chipper there in the middle lane. So, but yeah, the
Bubbles.
hand in point, I mean, Clan Milk right now is just totally dominating, and I don't think there's much hope here for C1K, even as early on as it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just looking at the mid lane, Bubbles level 8, Deadwood only level 6. He's been 2 or 3 levels up on him, it seems, or at least the past couple minutes, only 8 minutes in, and that's, I mean, you need to have a successful mid lane. If Deadwood's struggling that much, they needed to try and do something to either rotate or help him get rune control, do something to try and shut down Bubbles instead. It just didn't really go that way, and that's one of the problems with Keeper of the Forest. If you have a Keeper in the jungle, you have to set up your lanes knowing that Keeper is going to be a little bit useless until level 6. I mean, that's just one of those things that you have to build around that hero, and it seems that C1K didn't really do that. Down at the bottom here, it looks like Clan Milk grouping up to put some pressure on. Keeper in the jungle, does he have an ultimate up? And he does, so they might be able to set something up. Deadwood here as well. He does have a Falcon Punch, but it looks like he may get taken out. No, he's going to get invised by Keeper. There's some opportunity to at least pick up one kill here between the Root and Willowmaker combo. Keeper going to go in. There's Chipper going to be able to finish off Glacius here. Are they going to be able to pick up a kill onto Keeper or onto Bubbles? Pardon me. He's going to get caught by that grass. There's the Willowmaker, and he's going to fall. It looks like Deadwood may fall as well. Oh, down he goes. Not going to be able to finish off Blacksmith. So when it comes down to it, a 2-for-1 exchange actually going in favor of our Legion team.
Man, I'm not sure. Ooh, nice job right there, actually taking out Blacksmith. So yeah, overall that actually, of course, worked out very well for C1K when it's all said and done. But I don't know why Chipper didn't lay down that ultimate as soon as the root happened from Keeper of the Forest. All three heroes were lined up. He could have easily landed it on all three heroes right there, but for whatever reason he delayed until the root was basically finished and where they were able to move away from it. So he still got a little bit of the burst damage off, but yeah, really unfortunate that Chipper wasn't able to capitalize on that for maybe the next second or two even. But anyways, it still worked out very well for them, so obviously right there, you know, C1K, some signs of life, but of course when it's all said and done, Clan Milk is still in quite the advantage, and I don't know if it's necessarily slowing down after something like that. So,
yeah, I mean, all the while up in the top lane, we saw Torturer able to push that Tier 1 tower without any issue at all, so that's going to further Torturer's farm. I mean, Milkfat, this is the first time he's even left the top lane. We see him in the mid here. He needs to be really careful, actually, possibly underestimating the burst damage that Chipper can put out. He does have a haste rune on, so he needs to be very careful. Bubble's going to come in with that kelp field. He's going to connect with both Chipper and Deadwood. Deadwood not going to be able to survive the skirmish, though. He's going to fall somehow or another. Keeper of the Forest got taken out as well, which I completely missed, and we see Cthulhu just getting dropped. Level 5 Cthulhu compared to the level 9 Bubbles, level 8 Torturer. Yeah, not a hell of a lot he can do. We see Bubbles manning up onto Chipper here, diving a couple towers deep there at the Tier 3 tower, and the Tier 1 is still alive. That's just how confident Clan Milk is at this point in the game.
Yeah, they're moving together as a team right now, as we saw right there, of course, and I believe that ended up being 3 hero kills in total. And diving all the way to the 30s, he said, with the first still up. So now they're going to fall back and say, all right, maybe we need to get these towers killed. I don't know if it's possible to win a game without actually killing the outer towers. Although that would be interesting, I will tell you that much. That would be quite the man-up mode. Kind of just diving into the base going, just like, well, obviously that's impossible to win, so I don't even know what I'm saying, but just going, not even killing the towers, just destroying the
Tier
heroes.
4 hero kills?
Yeah.
Whoa!
What just happened there? Was that a rocket?
Was that some Chipper sniper action?
Yeah, it was. I don't even know if that was on purpose. That just happened to squirt on through, and Milkfat got caught right there. Keeper of the Force, Root going to come out as well. Glacius will fall, and now we see Forsaken Archer dropping as well, actually. Trample going to be up in 4 seconds. If he can get that trample off, Obliterate's activated, and that'll do the job right there in favor of Cthulhu. So look at this right now. Legion team fighting them back. The Root going to come out. It will not hit anybody, though. The Glacial downpour doing so much damage right there. Glacius will fall. Cthulhu goes down, and Keeper of the Forest, oh, it looks like he's going to barely survive simply because of that invis, but Plague Runner dies right next to him. And unless he gets away, oh, the Shell Surf just missing him, actually. And Keeper of the Forest will end up surviving. So, chaotic fight right there.
Yeah, that was a huge glacial downpour right there from Creams. But, yeah, that Torturer kill, I think it was just sort of one of those random rockets. Like you said, just a rocket kind of slipped on through and picked off Milkfat. So definitely Milkfat underestimating the power of Chipper right there without that magic armor. Torturer is a little bit squishy. So, you know, kind of going glass cannon a little bit here as they take down Chipper. A little bit of vengeance coming out as Milkfat it doesn't get the kill, but at least is able to assist on the kill. Glacius may have overcommitted here. Plague Rider trying to pick up that kill. Actually, Glacius can be able to survive, it looks like. Cthulhu Font, 1 hit from death. The Shell Surf going to come in to pick him off. Keep the Force coming out now. Going to see Plague Rider get hit by that chain reaction. He's going to fall, and now Keeper of the Force going to have to head for the hills as there are no trees in the general vicinity. Rotten Grass going to connect with Blacksmith there. The silence on the Deadwood, though, not going to be able to use that Willowmaker. Actually still on cooldown just now coming up, and he's going to get taken out. The Hat Trick now coming out for Bubbles, sitting with 3k gold in the bank off those initial core items. So, yeah, it looks like we're getting pretty close to a 15-minute concede here. Yeah. Breaky CPK.
Yeah, I think C1K is definitely in the boat of, oh, right, this game 1 didn't work out at least. Let's go ahead and move on to that second game. But, again, it's Clan Milk. They played it very well themselves. A very aggressive lineup, and they definitely did not let up on that, and it was a lot of fun seeing this Blacksmith, although we're not going to see it going to more of the later game stage, but still. Although we have that Trample coming out on top of the Chainsaws and the Root, everything used right there. on to Milkfat to make sure that he got taken out. Actually, that was Bubbles as well getting taken out in the end. So a couple of kills happening more there for our Legion team. So again, at least fighting back for now, but I do think that is simply more of a case of Clan Milk perhaps just overextending, and it seems like they're constantly playing in the Legion jungle right now as if just trying to keep that pressure up 24/7, even though it's not even necessary. Piercing Arrow is going to be used right here, not going to hit anyone though, and Forsaken Archer will start falling back. Trample attempt, but the freeze there from Glacius will stop Cthulhu in his tracks, and we'll just end up sitting back. So I do wonder if Clan Milk's maybe just going to fall back, play more of a farm-style game, or nah, that's not the way to play it though. Let's just keep it going. 15 minutes coming up. We'll see what decision C1K makes here.
Yeah, I mean, Clan Milk has a really aggressive roster here, so it's kind of not surprising to see them at least ahead this early on. And given their lanes, I mean, they do have that carry with Forsaken Archer, but very scary heroes in the laning phase. You know, both lane combos, Blacksmith Torture with the double stun, that huge synergy we saw on the top, and even the bottom. I mean, Glacius Forsaken Archer is a scary lane as well that is generally somewhat successful. And then, of course, with the solo mid Bubbles, who's just a great solo mid hero as well. So all around the board, they have a really well synergized team, especially for that laning phase. So there's just really no reason to let up the pressure at this point. They've got a nice aggressive team. This is right around the time where their team's going to start to peak a little bit with all these mid-game heroes they've got going on. So, yeah, I think Clan Milk will keep the pressure on, of course, past that 15-minute mark now. I'm sure C1K is going to hang in here, and then upon the next genocide/unfavorable team fight, perhaps, that concede vote will be looking a little bit more tempting.
Yeah, so for now, it is still going to be Clan Milk, just even farming the Legion jungle, making sure to minimize the Legion's farm as well as maximize their own. So items, I mean, we really haven't talked too much about that this game just because of how chaotic it has been, but it's calming down a little bit here, so we can take a glance at
35 kills in 16 minutes.
That is ridiculous, yeah. 26 alone for Clan Milk. I mean, in 15, now 16 minutes is just pretty ridiculous. But, well, they're going to group at the bottom lane and continue pushing some more. But, yeah, you see your portal key on Bubbles. You got, of course, Firebrand's been on Forsaken Archer for a while, so he's well on his way to his Geometer's Bane. You do look at Keeper of the Forest over there for our Legion team. His items aren't actually looking too bad. Plated Greaves, Ring of Sorcery on his way to an Astral Blade, but here we go. Initiation going to happen. Forsaken Archer will get picked out right there. Bubbles trying to point out that pull. Goes bouncing around. They're doing a lot of damage right now. Blacksmith comes running back in with a Fireball, though. And look at the Hellborn team with return damage all of a sudden. It looked like it was a hell of a start for C1K right there. But too much power from Clan Milk, especially Milkfat, as soon as he came back into that fight on Torturer, just started wrecking faces, it seemed like. And Forsaken Archer says, screw that, I'm not going to stay dead. He buys back, he comes back into it, and it will help drop Chipper right there. So Genocide going to be finished right there. GG well players are being called, and I believe that is going to be the final blow.
That last team fight actually didn't go that bad for the Legion side. I think that was more an example of how under-farmed they were, but definitely some of their team synergy shined right there. And when it was all said and done, it was a 5-for-3 exchange, of course, a couple of buybacks used for Clan Milk, but you know, kind of unfortunate C1K got so far behind so early on, because I think that last team fight shows that if it was a little bit more even in levels and items, that they could have had a chance to at least be contenders in that match. But regardless, it is a best of 3, so moving on to game 2.
Yeah, excited for that, obviously. And, you know, worst comes to worst, you know, if this happens to be a quick series, maybe we'll happen to latch on to another series. Who knows if they are still going on. So stick around, guys, though. Of course, we're going to look to finish this series at the very least. So obviously, Clan Milk up 1-0. Game 2 going to be coming up next. Once again, let's break a CPK. Joining me is Ziori here. And as always, stay tuned to honcast.com for much, much more coverage. So game 2 coming up next. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.